Governor Moore, can I come on your show? You're the man. Responsibilities like feeding her and cleaning up after her and all the rest. And I'll respect the law and the Constitution and the rules, and whether or not there are legal remedies to pursue beyond this. We haven't really discussed that, but I'm not going to rule out what some of those options might be.
You specifically in that sense, like given that Illinois is in these laws, given that this whole situation...
One of the best things that could clear all of this up would be if I was allowed to bring in every one of those taped conversations, not 2 or 3 or 4, but every one of those taped conversations, so that the people of Illinois can hear the full context of what I was discussing with regard to who the next U.S. Senator might be. And if they hear that, they'll hear the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and that will set me free. This is completely opposite of what President Nixon was doing during Watergate, when he fought every step of the way to keep those tapes of his from being made public, right? So what would that make the puppy? 3 months old, right? A little over 3 months old. And for me to quit is to say somehow that what they're saying about their dad is true. And the last thing I ever want are my daughters to feel that their father did things wrong that he didn't do, and somehow resigning would somehow indicate that I did. And so if it means they have to throw me out and I go down right to the very end, I'm going to do it first and foremost because I want to protect the people from higher taxes and I want to still work for them. And secondly, I don't want my kids to be ashamed of their father.
In the course of talking about all this, you have raised references to...
I wasn't comparing myself to Gandhi. I wasn't comparing myself to Nelson Mandela or Dr. King. I was just seeking some kind of inspiration to have some understanding that maybe other people who have been on the side of the people have gone through something like I was going through. And to somehow suggest that I'm comparing myself to Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi or Dr. King is just flat out erroneous, and it's being twisted by people who like to do that.
Specifically in that sense, like given that Illinois is in these laws, given that this whole situation is taking up...
When something like this happens to you, it's a very lonely thing, because people who just the day before were in your office asking for all kinds of things, people who just the day before, would call you back right away and, had all kinds of deference and regard and excessive obsequiousness, the day after, you can't find them. And this is just another example of how the human dynamic works. And so the phone isn't ringing as much as it used to. There's some plus to that. But the jokes don't bother me at all. I'm not asking for you guys to think somehow that my situation is any worse than a guy who may have been laid off from General Motors because of these hard economic times. I joined the legions of Americans who are suffering during hard economic times. What I'm trying to do is fight for them and protect them from higher taxes at a time when they can least afford it. And if I lose my job, like many others, I'll pick myself up and I'll find a way to work and support my family, and we'll begin the process of rebuilding our lives. She sits with that little puppy on her lap while she reads for hours. But when there's a responsibility